Wow, we've got the CBS music in Italian. I like that. We use that for Tony, I know, but that's pretty cool. What was the year, Megan?
1492.
1492.
Yeah, ocean blue.
There you go, Columbus Circle. How about that? Mary, top that.
It's going to be tough. Tone is changing once again on the campaign trail. Barack Obama continues to focus on the economy. John McCain is looking at health care, but turning down the negative attacks. It's all leading up to the candidates' final debate this week at Hofstra University, moderated by Bob Schieffer. Joining us this morning, CBS 2 blogger, syndicated political journalist Steve Adubato, and political commentator for the New York Daily News and morning radio host of WWRL Radio, Errol Lewis. Gentlemen, good to see you this morning.
Good to be here.
This debate, the most important 90 minutes in McCain's life, political life.
This is it. I mean, this is the shot, and he's up against the wall. What he has to do is clearly be aggressive, be assertive, go after Barack Obama, but he can't do it with a negative, nasty tone. Bottom line is, beyond issues, Mary, what people feel is this sense, can I live with this person over the next 4 years? Can I be comfortable with him? And so far, McCain has had a difficult time connecting with people by being tough on Obama, but not being surly and nasty, and some perceive as cranky. I think he can do it.
The polls have shown he's had a really rough week. What does he need to do at this
terrible
debate?
week. Well, he's got to get back to the independents. That's the only thing that's going to rescue him at this point. He's also got to dial down some of the negative attacks, because independents just don't like that. He had a commanding lead with independent voters, people who are not really affiliated to either of the major parties, and he's lost that lead. So he's got to get that back, and he's got to do it in Ohio. He's got to do it in Pennsylvania. He's got to do it in Wisconsin. He's trying to do it in Minnesota. So he's going to be very, very, I think, moderate. He's going to be trying to go right down the middle, and he's going to try and unveil, apparently, a new economic plan to try and get himself back into the debate about the economy, which is all anybody cares about right now.
Yeah, right now that's what everyone is talking about. People really learning much about the economy these days, learning all about Wall Street. We've heard a single message from Barack Obama in regard to taxes, but when it comes to John McCain, he's really had a variety of messages on the economic plan, much more specific in some ways. So what does this economic plan need to show in order for people to sway their vote?
The McCain plan?
Yeah.
Well, John McCain, again, he said something surprising in the last debate, talking about taking over those mortgages. He surprised a lot of Republicans, and if John McCain believes that, he has to go out and say how he's going to pay for it. Barack Obama, I have to say this, Obama, when asked the question, Errol, if you think about this, and he's always said, I want to rise above it, I want to be different from other politicians and speak candidly. I don't believe Obama is speaking that candidly when he was asked a direct question in the last debate. What would you have to give up because of the economic situation? Nothing. No tax cuts have to be given up. Not going to give up on any spending. I don't buy it. Something has to give. He should be more candid with the American people and say, we're going to have to sacrifice these programs, these tax cuts. I don't see how it adds up.
Yeah, no, I don't think either candidate is being particularly truthful or particularly reassuring when it comes to actually figuring out how to get out of this. It's not in their interest to do so. I mean, we're in this last, 3-week sprint. They're trying to just kind of lock in their core voters, maybe grab a few more. They're not going to try and solve a problem that took 20 years to make.
Sorry for interrupting. It's not in their interest to be candid and direct with people?
Well, it's not in their interest to try and make policy on the campaign stuff.
When you look back at history, presidential candidates have rarely been able to live up to their campaign promises. You just can't pay for them.
Yeah, but see, everything, in my mind, Mary, everything's different. The economic situation changes everything. All the old rules about politics go out the window, in my point of view. And I believe you get points. And by the way, I give John McCain points, but some of those campaign supporters were starting to say terrible things about Obama because of the negative tone in this campaign. He stopped one of these women who said he's a, quote, Arab. He stopped. He said he's a good citizen. That's the kind of thing McCain needs to do more of out there to show he's independent, and he's not going to pander to voters. Politics, as usual, is pandering. I argue in the last 3 or 4 weeks, pandering is out, candor is in.
Well, candor, I'm all for candor, but I do not want somebody trying to figure out the biggest economic problem of a lifetime, really. In between, going to state fairs and shaking hands and doing a million other things. I mean,
say something has to give.
Well, they've got to sit down. They've got to get a real sense of what's going on. They don't really have the best information, frankly, at this point. Nobody's talking about these credit default swaps, for example. Everybody says it's real complicated. The bottom line is it's not complicated. 60 $62 trillion worth of non-existent assets are sitting on the books of institutions.
There's also a relook at the rescue plan, the $700 billion bailout, and whether there may be changes to that, whether it may be a partial nationalization of the banking industry. This is serious business. Will they be talking about this at the debate, or do you think they'll have to just cover everything in general terms?
They'll talk about it in surface terms. McCain, as I mentioned, is going to probably unveil some new thing to try and get back into this debate because he hasn't been particularly successful or credible on it. So, I think we'll see a couple of suggestions about the style in which they'll figure it out. The figuring it out will happen somewhere between November 5th and next January.
President Kennedy says, I don't have all the answers, but I'm going to tell you straight, that's not a policy, that's an approach, and I believe it will sell in the last few weeks.
Difficult for either who becomes president.
Yep.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Errol, Steve, remember CBS 2 is your home for politics. Gentlemen, good to see you
Great
as
to be
always.
here, too.
Bob Schieffer will have much more on Face the Nation at 10:30. Don't forget 11, Spirited Debate with John McLaughlin and the McLaughlin Group. That's right here on CBS 2.